فإنه من يعش منكم فسيرى اختلافا كثيرا فعليكم بسنتي ما تنشئون حزبا.
Now, can a Salafi student of knowledge go to a non-Salafi masjid and accept salaries from them in order to teach at that masjid? Ikhwan, there are a number of issues here. Number one, the issue of an individual teaching and giving da'wah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The origin and the asl is that one abandons and leaves alone doing so in order to get paid. Since the origin of the da'wah of the prophets and the messengers was their statement, La nas'alukum alayhi min ajr, that we do not ask you for an ajr, we do not ask you for recompense for that. So the origin, ikhwan, is that one gives da'wah, one is mutajarrid, that is, he freely gives da'wah without doing so on the basis of seeking payment for it. Is it permissible to do so? That is a different affair. I'm not saying it's haram to take a salary to teach elements of the deen. That is not what I'm saying. But I'm saying the origin and that which is afdal and that which is the asl is that one leaves alone teaching and leaves alone taking a salary to teach. And that is something that we saw with some of our teachers, the likes of Shaykhana Shaykh Abdul Muhsin. He taught and continues to teach Ikhwan in the Islamic University without salary. As far as teaching in the masajid of the non-Salafis, then the masajid of the people, Ikhwan, of bid'ah and of innovation, our scholars have mentioned, are categorized into categories. There are the masajid of the people who are referred to as awam, and it is not actually referred then on that basis as or considered a masjid from the people of bid'ah, a masjid from the masajid of the people of bid'ah. If it is from the masajid of the awam, the masajid of the awam, that is, it is general masjid, and they do not have an affiliation to any particular type of maslak or manhaj. Some individuals, a man has some money, he owns a market, he owns some shops, he has some money, builds a masjid, and so the masjid is just run by some general people. Nobody who have any real knowledge, any real understanding, just by general people. The masajid of the awam, Ahl al-Ilm, allow and permit that masjid be taught in. One should make a difference between that and the masajid, ikhwan, that have ignorant mubtadi'ah within them. And that is that there's a difference between the two. There is a difference between the masajid of the awam and the masajid of the general people, and a masjid that is actually has an orientation, and it actually has an inclination, and it actually has a manhaj and a methodology, except that the people who are within the masjid, they're ignorant. The fact that they're ignorant does not now mean that this is now a masjid al-awam. It does not now make that masjid a general masjid. The fact that those who are within it are ignorant. So we must make a difference between the two. We have the masjid that has no inclination. That is what is considered the masjid of the awam. And then we have the masjid that has an inclination. And so we walk inside the masjid, mathalan, and we see invites to such and such an event. The event has various well-known speakers from among the people of hizbiyyah and bid'ah being invited, Yasir Qadi and Fulan ibn Fulan and Zakir Naik and Mufti Menk and whoever else. Then we know, ikhwan, that this masjid has an inclination. It is not said masjid awam. It has an orientation. It has an inclination. Even if those who are present within the masjid and those who are in charge of its admin and the idara within the masjid, they may be ignorant, but that doesn't mean they don't have an orientation. There are masajid, for example, in Birmingham, the admin of which are ignorant, but they have a clear orientation. Mathalan, Ash Road Masjid in Alum Rock in Birmingham is markaz of the Jama'ah al-Tabligh. But those who are in charge of the masjid are ignorant. But it is not now said that it is a general masjid. La. Rather, it is a masjid of the people of innovation, the idara of which and the admin of which are ignoramuses. And so we must make a difference between the two, that there is a difference then between the general masjid and the masjid that has an orientation and an inclination. And we can ask questions such as, who are their reference points? Who do they return back to? Who do they consider from the people of knowledge? Who historically have they referred to and utilized and invited and called? When they arrange conferences, when they arrange lectures, who is it that they arrange conferences with? When they have those conferences, who are they done with and arranged with? Who's invited? Do they have a magazine? Do they have a newsletter? What is the general content of that newsletter? What is the orientation of the newsletter? These are all indications of the methodology and the manhaj of that masjid and its people. And so, since that is the case, then the Salafi student of knowledge should make a difference then between the general masjid, because oftentimes that is the hujjah, and that is the evidence, and that is the argument when it's a general masjid, and it doesn't have an inclination, when in actuality, when you study the reality of that masjid, it actually does have an inclination, and it actually does have, and they are actually upon a particular innovation from the various innovations that exist. So we should make a difference between the two. As far as the masaajid of the people of innovation, then one does not continue, or one does not sit and accept a salary from them and teach within them. Because of course, ikhwan, that is from ta'awun ala al-ithmi wal-udwan. Our scholars have allowed giving da'wah in those forms of masajid with the condition that when he speaks, he addresses the innovation that they have fallen into. He doesn't just go and speak general topics and address general things. So he does a dars on 40 hadith, and then he has another dars explaining some chapters from a particular book on the seerah. And then he has another dars speaking about the tafsir of Juz Amma. All of those affairs, ikhwan, as beautiful as topics as they may be, they do not address the issues. Those issues still remain and are still outstanding as long as that individual does not address them. If he addresses the issues, then we will know where we are, because we will see how that admin will react. We will see whether we still have our job tomorrow morning, Fajr. Now, and so as far as those masajid, then, ikhwan, the people of Sunnah, do not accept salaries and teach within the masajid of the people of innovation. That only condones their bid'ah, and it only strengthens their hujjah, and it only increases their gathering and increases their masses. And then when you leave, in comes such and such, al-mubtadi' with his dars and with his lecture. When you travel, then in comes that hizbi speaker that they invite and confuses the crowds and confuses the audience. The innocent Salafi believes now that because you're teaching there, that the masjid is okay. It is permissible to attend. It is okay to take benefit from it. And so when you're absent, he continues to attend, and he takes and receives the poison that is present within that masjid. So all of these affairs, ikhwan, have to be observed and have to be considered when we're looking at the affair of giving lectures within the masajid of those who are considered non-Salafi. Generally, ikhwan, the general principle, and from from history, throughout history and from experience, the person who gives da'wah and calls to Salafiyyah and is invited by a non-Salafi masjid, he ordinarily has but one shot. he has one shot, ikhwan. Ordinarily, he will not be re-invited if he does his job. So he has one shot to make that clarification. And if that person, if that individual continues to be invited, and they love his speech and they love his style, then ikhwan, know that there is something wrong about the man's da'wah. Know that there is something wrong about the man's da'wah. Since organized bid'ah, ikhwan, you will not change it, but you will change individuals among them. And the only time that individual may take or may be established is if truly it is a general masjid, has no inclination, and they are accepting da'wah salafiyyah. In which case that should still not prevent him from attending the masjid of the people of Sunnah that is minutes away. Therefore, ikhwan, there is definitely an issue and definitely a problem with that scenario. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.